How are they punchy? One of the oldest questions in anime history. Whether it be a farmer with a shotgun who appears in the show for 2 minutes, or the main character who has a 1,000 episode story told about his journey across an ocean trying to tear down a fascist government. People all across the globe who interact with this type of content will always ask the question, how are they punchy? And it's a logical question. It's fun to know as much about a universe as we possibly can. It's fun to know that when a character swings a sword, a certain amount of events could happen depending on, well, how hard they punchy. And while some characters follow a linear path upwards towards higher and higher levels of power, other characters seem to hop in the world's fastest elevators, skyrocketing into a level of power we never dreamed imaginable for them. Looking directly at you, Fire Force. But there's really no correct way to go about giving your characters more power. And giving your characters more power is a trope in anime as old as, well, anime. If you keep your characters the exact same level of power for the entirety of your story, well, there's not going to be any stakes. Oh, you use the same move at the same level of power for 300 episodes. I'm quitting after 50. And with all of the buzz revolving around Black Clover recently because of the new non-canon movie that was released on Netflix, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's incredible. There's been a lot of people asking the question, how hard Asta punchy? And while the movie is non-canon and therefore can't be used to contribute to calculating, well, how hard he punchy, Asta has received some insane upgrades in the manga recently. On top of this, the final battle in the manga is currently going on, and the final enemy in the manga has revealed themselves to be insanely powerful, wielding 4 separate kinds of magic that allow them to make clones of themselves basically limitlessly, which means that our superpowered short person Asta really had to get some insane upgrades. But how far have those upgrades pushed Asta? Well, today that's the question we're hoping to answer, because today we're asking and answering the question, how strong is Final Phase Asta? But before we get into scaling Asta, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you like the idea of me talking about Black Clover, then you're gonna love my anime podcast called Otaku's Anonymous, where me and Danny Mata break down everything that happened in anime. This week, it's available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So, Asta, short, strong, loves swords. I see a lot of myself in him, honestly. But Asta wasn't always as strong as he is today. See, Asta started out as a nobody in the Clover Kingdom, a boy without magic in a world run on magic. All Asta had was his muscles, which he worked on day in and day out. However, fortunately for Asta, when he turned 15 and went to go receive a grimoire, he received a 5-clover grimoire, a grimoire that he was unaware actually belonged to a devil that befriended his mother by the name of Liebe. And Liebe's magic abilities were that of anti-magic, the ability to nullify all and any magic in the entire universe. And in a world run on magic, the ability to get rid of magic is quite the ability. Now, from this grimoire, Asta was able to pull a sword by the name of the Demon Slayer sword. It's a massive broadsword that Asta is able to enlarge by running anti-magic through the edges of the blade. And he's able to make the sword so big he can use it as a shield to deflect incoming magic. However, as time continued, Asta began to manifest more and more swords, acquiring the Demon Dweller and the Demon Slasher and the Demon Destroyer swords, all of which allowed him to channel his anti-magic in different ways. But one thing never changed for Asta. He never acquired magic. However, as the story progressed, Asta became substantially stronger in the use of his anti-magic, and even more proficient in the use of his muscles. And through the combination of his physical strength and his anti-magic ability, Asta has received numerous accolades, with the most impressive of which probably being Asta being labeled an Arcane Stage Mage by the Heart Kingdom. An Arcane Stage Mage being the highest level of mage you can become in the Heart Kingdom. But Asta was far from done when it came to improving. See, Asta is determined to use the fact that he has no magical power for his own benefit. See, if Asta had any magical power whatsoever, he wouldn't be able to wield anti-magic. On top of this, having no magical power whatsoever means those who are able to sense mana cannot sense Asta. It also makes him immune to people who are able to drain others' magical energy, like Conrad in this most recent movie, or those who reside in the underworld, or more commonly than either of them, Henry. On top of this, Asta has dedicated himself to becoming a substantially better swordsman. As we've seen throughout the years, that he's gone from a kid who only knows how to slash a big sword in one direction to a man who actually knows how to wield his swords, even 2 at a time. But a lot of Asta improving his swordsmanship has to do with outside factors. So, see, obviously, will experience is hugely useful to Asta here. Asta has also learned different techniques throughout the course of Black Clover's manga that have allowed him to improve his swordplay. The most key of those is Ki. See, Ki is an ability that comes from Yami's homeland, Hino country, also known as Japan. See, magic isn't the only thing that runs through the entirety of humankind. Ki also does. See, Ki is the flow of life energy in people, and it and mana coexist and react with each other. And Ki is affected by a person's thoughts and actions, as the quality of somebody's Ki is actually influenced by their emotions and their intentions. Therefore, if you live an incredibly chaotic life, you will have chaotic Ki. Because of this, every single person's Ki signature is different. But since Asta doesn't have mana and therefore doesn't have magic, Asta can't sense mana. Therefore, in order to get the extrasensory perception granted to mana sensors, Asta has to learn Ki sensing. And that's exactly what he did. Now, and by learning Ki sensing, Asta is now able to predict an enemy's movements and attacks before they even really happen. In fact, through the use of Ki sensing, Asta can even detect invisible people, or detect if somebody is telling the truth or not. But Ki is actually more important than just Ki sensing, because Asta's learning of Ki didn't stop with just Ki. When Asta was sent to Hino country by Lucius, he learned a Ki technique known as zeten. See, zeten directly translates to sky splitting, and it's named this because the creator of zeten was able to split the sky with the technique. Zeten is only achievable if you are able to manipulate your Ki, and masters of zeten are able to increase their Ki 20-fold and convert that to magical power. That is to say, in layman's terms, that those who have mastered zeten are able to increase their magical power 20-fold. Now, Asta practiced in this technique with 4 out of the 7 Ryuzen 7, but didn't perfect it until his battle against Yosuga, who went on to quite literally describe his zeten as the perfect counter for magic. Now, zeten can work in a couple of interesting ways. You can either concentrate all of the Ki that you converted into magical power into one strike or into multiple strikes. But if we're working with the 20x number here, one strike can be 20 times stronger, or you can have 4 strikes be 5 times stronger. See what I'm driving at here? But Asta's control over zeten is so complete, and he's able to channel all of his Ki into anti-magic powers so efficiently that he can strike the likes of Lucius paladins and turn them back into regular people. See, Lucius, the final baddie of Black Clover, the last of the demons from the Queloff tree, has the ability to take people and turn them into pure devils. And all of these people that are turned into pure devils are known as paladins and are also stronger than any enemy we've ever seen in Black Clover ever. However, at the end of the day, they are real people, and therefore Asta doesn't want to hurt them. And therefore Asta uses this application of zeten to separate the devil part from the human part in these paladins and return these people back to normal while killing the devil. And Asta has done this on 2 separate occasions. But this isn't even the most impressive thing that Asta did in Hino country, as Asta also found himself face to face against a legendary 5-headed dragon, a 5-headed dragon that the Ryuzen 7 working together couldn't defeat. However, Asta, through the power of his mastered zeten, was able to slice off all 5 of the dragon's heads simultaneously while splitting the sky, replicating the accomplishment of the creator of zeten. But there's no way that Asta could have learned Ki or zeten or accomplished any of this really without Liebe. See, Asta, like so many other MCs, is devil-possessed. But Asta's devil possession is slightly unique. See, Liebe was considered the weakest devil in the underworld, and therefore, when Liebe was thrown against the barrier of the underworld, because he had no magic, he was actually able to slip right out, falling in the overworld. The first person that he stumbled upon happened to be Asta's mother, a woman who had the treacherous ability of sapping out the magical energy of anybody she was around, and therefore, she was a castaway. But since Liebe had no magical power, they were able to coexist, and she was able to raise Liebe. However, unfortunately, eventually Asta's mother dies, and Liebe is sealed in his 5-clover grimoire, a 5-clover grimoire that Asta one day receives. And while originally Asta and Liebe don't see eye to eye, and Asta has to bargain with Liebe to borrow his power, eventually going so far as to give Liebe his right arm in exchange for power, as Asta and Liebe begin to spend more and more time with each other and begin to learn more and more about each other, and then eventually battle in a devil union battle brought on by Noct, the vice captain of the Black Bulls, Asta is finally able to reach out to Liebe and make him his partner, not his servant. And because of this, the results of the devil binding ritual that Asta and Liebe go under are a bit unique. strike. See, Asta forges a contract with Liebe to share power as equals, at which point they begin to train with each other in order to try and master a form known as Unite, where they bring both of their powers together to achieve the highest level of power they currently can. And after spending a couple of days training, they're able to maintain this Unite form for 5 minutes. Now, Unite form is an application of Asta's black form, except instead of coating just his arms and legs in anti-magic and spouting wings, Asta generates an entire suit of anti-magic. In this Unite form, Asta is a problem. See, in this form, we begin to finally get into some of Asta's greatest feats yet. And ironically, this was pre-Zeten. See, in this form, Asta battled against Lilith and Nameth, two of the highest ranking devils in the underworld. However, when Asta and Noct were able to push Lilith and Nameth kind of to the edge, they decided to fuse together, combining their ice and fire magic into, well, frozen fire magic, at which point they generated a spell known as Frozen Sun, which was said to, when released, be able to destroy the entirety of the Spade Kingdom, and probably a little bit beyond the Spade Kingdom, making this a large country plus attack. Asta in his Unite form was able to not only deflect, but also destroy this attack, meaning that Asta in his Unite form, and not even his evolved Unite form, was large country plus. On top of this, after destroying this attack, he goes on to defeat this fused form of Lilith and Nameth in one strike, mind you, solidifying the idea that at this point in time, he was large country plus. However, Unite mode wasn't enough for Lilith and Nameth's boss, Lucifera, as Lucifera, when he assumed his final form, his true devil form, proceeded to violate this Unite form and all of the captains of the Clover Kingdom simultaneously, and with truly next to no effort. However, in this battle against Lucifero, Asta begins to learn more and more about Liebe, specifically what Liebe's past is and what motivates Liebe. And once they both realize that they are similarly motivated towards the same goal, they improve their Unite union, giving Asta true devil union mode, which Asta then uses to defeat Lucifero rather easily, which is a pretty crazy upgrade when you consider the fact that Lucifero was dog walking regular Unite mode like 2.5 seconds ago. And considering the fact that Asta was able to one-shot the Lilith-Nameth combination, but wasn't able to lay a scratch on Lucifero until he got this upgrade, implies to us that Lucifero is probably somewhere in the continental plus, or even multi-continental range, which puts the scaling at pretty much every single one of the Ryus in 7 and everybody that we meet in Hino country at an absolutely insane level, especially when you consider the fact that Yami Ichika, the person who first trains with Asta when he ends up in Hino country, says that Asta in his black form shouldn't be too much of a problem, as she proceeds to block his katana with her hands multiple times, and while in base, punch him so hard he leaves Asta black form. Now, this could have been because Asta was using the Demon Slasher katana, which is technically Yami's katana that Asta coded in anti-magic that Asta put back in his grimoire after the battle against Dante. And with this sword, Asta has the ability to selectively cut, meaning Asta with this blade can release slashes that only injure those who he wants injured, which is why he uses this sword against the likes of the paladin. And it's a possibility that subconsciously Asta didn't want to hurt Yami's little sister, but more likely than not, it's because Ichika was massively stronger than Black Asta, which is insane when you consider the fact that by the time that Asta ended up in Hino country, he upgraded Unite even further, as Asta has now learned to selectively place his devil union on parts of his body and not his entire body evenly, which not only makes the anti-magic that he's coating his body with denser and stronger, but also makes the Unite form last 10 minutes as opposed to 5, which is technically the form he used against the base form of Lucius before Lucius sent him to Hino country. Now, mind you, Lucius is, and spoiler coming up here if you're not caught up with the manga, I'll give you a second to skip forward, is Julius, as in Julius Novachrono, the Wizard King, who is capable of using time magic. However, Lucius is a devil from the Tree of Queloth, able to use soul magic. And Lucius consumed the heart of Lucifero, who's able to use gravity magic. So base Lucius, when he was battling against Asta before he sent him to Hino country, was able to use gravity, soul, and time magic. But don't worry, he now currently wields soul, body, blood, and bone magic so he can make full-on clones of himself, because he can just create a body, split a part of his soul, and throw it into the clone. But even before he wielded all of these different kinds of magic, in his base form, he still understood that Asta was a threat. And that was just with Asta's powered up Unite form and his 4 swords, which I guess I never really went over. I mean, I guess we did kind of talk about the Demon Slayer sword and how it has the ability to expand and how Asta can use it to deflect projectiles projectiles of incoming magic. But Asta is also able to remotely control this blade, which allows him to ride on it like it's a broom, which has granted Asta the ability to fly through the power of his anti-magic. His second sword is the Demon Dweller sword, which is technically a sword he received from Leet. This sword allows Asta to fire off projectiles of anti-magic so he can destroy magic from a distance. And it also allows him to borrow magic from others, as the anti-magic projectiles he fires off can actually have the properties of borrowed magic from the people around him, which means hypothetically, let's say Luck was by him. He could borrow Luck's lightning magic and add its affinity to his anti-magic and fire a combined slash. And his third sword is the Demon Destroyer sword, which possesses the ability known as Casualty Break, which allows him to generate anti-magic tendrils that have the ability to not only destroy magic, but also the after effects of magic. The best example of this that we've seen is when Asta used this sword to release those who were brought back through reincarnation magic, being able to allow their souls to go back to wherever your soul goes in the Black Clover universe. And then we've already gone over the selective slashing ability of the katana. And with that, we've pretty much explained the entirety of Asta's kit, which leads us to everybody's favorite part of the video. Where does Asta sit scaling-wise? Well, we've already established the fact by destroying the frozen sun generated by Lilith and Nemeth that he's at least large country plus. Mind you, that was before unlocking both his true Devil Union mode and zeten. In fact, that was before he even learned how to separate his Devil Union into specific parts of his body to make it stronger and denser and last longer. Arguably, his most impressive AP feat is cutting off all 5 dragon heads and splitting the sky in one attack, which after all of the upgrades he received, I very comfortably put him at multi-continental plus. Now, speed is an interesting one for Asta, because the Black Clover universe is a fast universe, with people like Leet using light magic in the early days of Black Clover, meaning that anybody who had to battle against or dodge these abilities had to be faster than light. And Asta was not only able to dodge this light magic, but also to overwhelm the user of it. And speed blitzing somebody who has light speed attacks is quite the feat. But Asta has gone even further beyond this. Asta's speed is such that he can keep up with Spirit Dive Yuna, who is undoubtedly massively faster than light. Not to mention, Asta was also fast enough to battle against base Lucius, who can control time through his time magic. And being able to blitz somebody who can stop and control time means you are most definitely massively faster than light. Take that into the fact that some people have calculated Luck's speed in his lightning armor form to be 500 times the speed of light, and yet Luck, upon seeing Lilith and Nemeth, determined that they were not to be messed with, and yet Asta in his Unite form was able to one-shot them, means you could highball Asta's speed to anywhere between 500 to 1,000 times faster than light. But we'll stick with him at massively faster than light plus. And as for his durability, considering the fact that Asta has traded blows with people that are confirmed to be multi-continental or multi-continental plus, that implies to us that his durability has to be at least multi-continental plus, as Asta was able to take blows from both Lucius and Yami Ichika, who were able to nullify his black form, which defeated a multi-continental threat in Lucifero. Technically, if you take what Lucifero was saying literally about destroying the entire planet, you could hypothetically highball Lucifero to planetary, and therefore you could scale Asta's durability all the way up to planetary, but I'm not gonna do that. As for stamina, Asta never really seems to run out. After all, his magic is never giving up. Asta has fought through 2 broken arms simultaneously, has been cut from shoulder to hip by a diamond-tipped projectile, and lost tons of blood in continued battling. On top of this, after every single time that Asta uses the Unite form, he has to wait 30 minutes because the entirety of his body aches and feels as though it's on fire. However, multiple times in the Dark Triad arc, Asta was able to reinitiate this form before the 30 minutes were up. So, how powerful is Asta? Really powerful, actually. And he hasn't even started fighting this final form of Lucius yet. And considering the upgrades that we just saw Noel and Yuno get in this battle against Lucius, who knows what he's gonna get? Noel just got like the King of the Sea, and Yuno can now use monozones the size of the capital. They're just gonna give Asta a gun at this point. But that's it. Pretty much everything that you can know about how strong Asta is. Did I miss anything? Do you guys think my calculations are incorrect? Tell me in the comments below, and while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Listen, I think he deserves a gun at this point. I mean, I trust the kid.